It's time for Money for Lunch, where we feed your brain and your business with supersized portions of business and financial news. Now your host, Bert Martinez.
All right, we are back. My next guest, Nancy Depcik. Nancy Depcik, being a good communicator is essential wherever you are presenting in front of a large audience, communicating to your team, or giving effective feedback in a meeting. Nancy Depcik is of unshakable success, is a nationally recognized speaker and presentation skills coach. She will help you transform from reading a script or bullet point to a confident, self-assured, genuine person delivering a memorable message. You will learn how to calm your nerves, boost your confidence, and deliver a speech so powerful that you have your audience sitting on the edge of their seats. Her website for more information is Nancy Depcik, spelled DEPCIK.com. Nancy Depcik, welcome to Money for Lunch.
Thank you, Bert. So nice to be on your show. Thanks for inviting me.
You bet. All right, so let's talk about this. How did you get started as a professional speaker and coach?
That's a great question. You know what? We all have those moments in our life that change our path, and mine happened about 7 years ago. I went through what I call a life-altering change, and due to circumstances that were beyond my control, I lost what I felt was everything at that time. I lost a 15-year relationship, and that resulted in me losing my business, losing my home, and probably the worst of it all was losing a belief in myself. But little by little, I started to meet people, I started to read books, I started to see movies that helped me to transform my life and reinvent myself. So I joined a local club where you give speeches, and through that I started winning contests, and one day somebody called me up and asked me what I charge for my speeches. So I decided I would look into making that into a business. So I hired a professional speech coach. I signed up actually for a thing called Speaker University that's sponsored through National Speakers Association. I joined professional speakers groups and transformed myself into the business I have today, which is Unshakable Success.
I like that, Unshakable Success. I think that's great, and I like that title because listening to your story, there are times in our life when our success, when our confidence, our self-esteem are prone to be shakeable, right?
And you know what? We all have our own challenges. That story I just told you happened to be my challenge, but right. We all have our own challenges in our life, illness, relationships, financial. But we also have some core values and some beliefs that once we realize that they are core to us, they are part of our being, your confidence can never be shaken again. Your resiliency will be greater, and you'll be able to get back on your feet again.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so let's talk about this. Give us kind of a Reader's Digest version of what is unshakable success.
I believe unshakable success is figuring out the things in your life that you know that no one can ever, ever take away from you. For me, it was my family and my friends, and as easy as that sounds, sometimes when you're in a challenging place, in a dark place, you don't see the things that are right in front of you. But it could be your faith, it could be your children, it could be a number of things that are in your core that no one will take away from you. So as these challenges present themselves to you, dig deep, see the things that really matter, the things that are yours forever, and it just helps you to recover much quicker.
Yes, absolutely. I like what you said that because we all have strengths or gifts or things in our lives that are ours forever, and sometimes we overlook these things. And something that I've noticed that at least, like for instance, with our kids, we tend to celebrate just about anything they do. But as adults, we do the opposite. Even when we have success, we accomplish something big or small, we tend, and even when we're getting praised for it, we sometimes kind of shrug it off and we, kind of, put down its importance and, oh, shucks, it's not that big of a deal. We get out of the habit of celebrating our successes, but we really tend to not celebrate, but we get hung up on our non-successes, for lack of better terms.
And you know what? It's excellent. I just listened to your previous speaker, and he was talking about being positive and not being negative, and you were talking about that same thing. That's what I like to portray to my audience. That's what I like to leave my audience with, is a positive mindset. Because if you keep on bringing yourself down, or someone gives you a compliment and you say, oh, no, that's not worth it, oh, no, I'm not worth it, you start to believe that after a while. And
yes.
You're right. Celebrate your successes every single step of the way. Give yourself a pat on the back and say thank you to the people who give you a pat on the back.
Yes, absolutely. And here's the other thing. Back, our first guest was talking a lot about the law of attraction. I'm a big believer that if you are saying no and you're rejecting people who are giving you praise, sincere praise, that praise will begin to diminish over time, because I think that, well, why are you going to get that universal praise? Why are you going to get those praises if all you're going to do is knock them down and not accept them and not believe them, right? So I think what will happen is over time you end up getting less and less.
You're right, and I truly believe what you put out there is what comes back to you. So a lot of times, for instance, when I was in my very dark place, my challenging place, there were always opportunities for me. I just didn't see them because I was in such a bad place. I was in such a negative place. Once I was able to turn that around, I was able to see the positive things that surrounded me all the time. They were always there. I just didn't see them.
Yes, absolutely correct. And I like the way you said that. Yeah, sometimes we just don't see it. All right, so let's talk about this. Here you are. You now help people give, as I said earlier, a powerful presentation. So what's the most important thing to remember when giving a presentation or conducting a meeting?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I help people through everything that I learned the past several years. I now help other people with their presentations and their communication skills. So this doesn't matter whether you're talking to one other person or 1,000 other people. When you're in a conversation, when you are trying to communicate, the most number one thing you have to remember is your audience. You have to remember your audience, who you're speaking to, and what their issues are, what their goals are, what their fears are. The number one thing to remember, it's not about you, it's about them. And sometimes as communicators, we're trying so hard to get our point across. We think it's important. We think this person will be better if they just do or say or think how we do things. But you have to look at them, stand in their shoes, know what they think, what they need, keep your audience in mind, and then start communicating to them for what their needs are.
Yes, yes. I'm so glad you said that, because I have found that when I am worried about how I am, when I'm focused on me, right, that's when I tend to stutter the most and become the most forgetful. But when I focus on the audience and trying to give them what they need and trying to really help them and love them and support them, then it does flow easier. And I'm connecting with them because I'm focused on them.
You're absolutely right. And in a lot of cases, when people get very, very nervous when they stand up in front of a group, if you stop thinking about yourself, the reason you're nervous is you're usually thinking about yourself, and you're thinking about, how does my hair look? I hope I don't look stupid. I hope I don't forget something. What if I trip? But if you turn that focus to your audience and you say, what's the number one thing I would like my audience to feel at the end of my presentation? What is the number one thing I want my audience to do? And you put the focus on them, it makes a world of difference.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. All right, so what suggestions, if any, do you have to captivate your audience from the very beginning?
Well, there's several clues that, as speakers, we've learned to captivate your audience from the very, very beginning. You have about 30 seconds to get their attention before they start thinking about something else or before they tune you out. So one of the first things to do is you ask a question. But you ask them a question that's relevant to them and to the topic they came to hear you speak about. So ask some sort of a question, and it's very typical to start a question with the words either what if or maybe imagine. Something like, what if you could give a presentation so powerful you'd have your audience sitting at the edge of their seat? Now, they want to hear the answer to that. They've given you their time, and now you can move forward with the information that you brought for them. Another way to start is to tell a story. People not only love hearing stories, they remember stories. So you can start by telling a story. Also, again, it must be relevant to your audience, and it must be relevant to your topic. And a third way you can start, too, is with humor. But if you're going to start with humor, you better be sure you're funny, because the last thing you want to do is start a presentation and fall flat on your face in the first sentence or two. So those are some things. There are more ways, but those are some things that I'd like to share with you today.
I like that. Yeah. It's amazing how our brain works. When we ask a question, it really engages us because our brain's trained to answer questions.
And you're absolutely right. A lot of speakers will start by introducing themselves and say what they do and what they're going to teach you. You have 30 seconds to get this audience to decide if they want to listen to you or not. So start with it being about them. Ask a question that they can relate to.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about this. What's the most valuable technique for calming your nerves?
Well, you know what? There's a lot of things you can do to calm your nerves, but I find that sometimes if you can actually understand what you're experiencing, what you're fearing, then sometimes you can actually deal with it. So, a lot of people, I love taking deep breaths. Don't underestimate the deep breath. Taking deep breaths. Some people like doing something physical like jumping jacks. But here, think about it this way. A lot of times when people get in front of an audience, try to understand why you are scared, why you are nervous. It goes back to our natural response of fight or flight. So think about it. Here you are, you're standing alone on a stage. You're standing alone in an open space. There's no place to hide. You have no weapon in your hand, and you're facing a large group of creatures staring at you. So your brain can't tell the difference between a pack of wild animals or this is just a group of your peers who want to see you succeed. So if you take a deep breath and you tell yourself, this is a false alarm. These people are here to greet me. They want to hear what I have to say. They are my friends. This fear is a false alarm. Once you can understand it, you're more likely to be able to control it.
I love it. Nancy, we're out of time. I would love to bring you back and talk more about unshakable success. Guys, if you want to find out more about Nancy, again, you can go to Nancy Depcik. It's DEPCIK.com. Nancy Depcik, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing.
Thanks, Bert. Appreciate it.
You bet. Good stuff there. We're off and running. Remember, most importantly, you were created to succeed.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch and check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.